Hello, everyone. Happy Monday. Welcome to Work It Daily and our week 2 of the 28-day Career Reinvention Challenge. My name is JT O'Donnell. I'm the founder of Work It Daily, and I am the host of this year, 2019's challenge that we're working on. So welcome, one and all. So what I'm going to do in this session is talk about the first exercise that you completed last week. I'm looking for a lot of participation today. So all of you that are attending live, please make sure that you comment. And of course, we're recording this for those people that have to watch it later. So you want to ask questions that I'm sure they're thinking of as well. But then I'm also going to talk about this week's exercise, which I did drop today, and how you can get the most out of it. And as you can see, I've got some props here to really drive some points home. So I hope you are ready to open your mind and move forward in this reinvention challenge. And, just going to say it one more time. I called it a challenge, but in reality, I believe this is a gift you give yourself. The gift of career reinvention. It does take a lot of work, but it's worth it. So let's get started, shall we? All right. So first of all, I'm going to give a shout out. Got so many people on here. Hello, Sophia, Judy, Kimberly, Tim, Todd, Rachel, all these great folks that are chiming in. Be sure to let us know where you're coming in from. We'd love to know where you are. But let's get down to business. How many of you, show of hands, completed the week 1 exercise of writing your career narrative? And what I want you to do is tell me a couple things here in the comments. First of all, tell me, what was the experience like writing out the epic novel or the major motion picture, however you like to refer to it, that is your career story? How did that feel? What was that experience like for you? I want to hear about that. I want to hear about how many pages it is. Let's see if we can top it. I think that the most I ever heard in the years that I've been doing this and working with people is like 46 pages, but some of you might be longer than that. I don't know. But it's a novel. It's a motion picture. So it's certainly going to be more than 1 page. In fact, I'm going to challenge you. If your career story, your first career narrative that came out was a 1 page or less, then we've got a problem. Or you really don't need to be here, as you're going to see in a moment. But I'm pretty sure most of you had some pretty long career narratives going on. So share that with me in the comments, because as I worked with all of our members this past week inside our private platform, inside our private Slack community, which is not open to the YouTube public, it's only open to our active members over at Work It Daily. There was a lot of stuff going on in there, a lot of people getting honest and real with themselves about, the storyline and the patterns that they were recognizing in their career story. History seemed to repeat itself for a lot of people. Or, wow, a lot of my career story is pretty negative. Or, I'm now realizing so much of my career story comes from, how I saw my mom or my dad, or family members or something that happened. They're really starting to anchor and understand the storyline, which is the whole point of this, folks. Because if you don't take the time to write out your career narrative, you leave it up here in a completely fragmented form. It's not even on a first draft. All these years that you've been sitting here going, my career doesn't feel right to me. I'm struggling. I'm frustrated. You've been telling a disjointed story in your head. You've been doing flashbacks and then flipping forward and then getting stuck in a loop. And it just hasn't been a well-written, well thought out, logical story. And so that's why I forced you in this first exercise to get your career narrative out, because you weren't even narrating properly. And I know this. I'm not making this up, folks. I did this to myself. Where do you think I learned to do this? This is a very important process. If you want to develop your career, reinvent your career, reinvent yourself, and find higher levels of satisfaction, of happiness, then you've got to do this process, because what's holding you back is this bad story that's going on, this confusing story. So I'm going to stop for a second because I've got the comments over here. I want to see what people said. All right, I got an over 8-pager. Rachel, you go. That's what I'm talking about. That's giving it an A effort. That's what I want to hear. Patterns. Sophia says, I did not realize the connections or the existence of the patterns. Exactly, Sophia. I harped and harped leading up to this reinvention challenge as I was doing videos to promote it. I harped and harped on the fact that we work in our jobs and in our careers, and we grind and we do, and we just go, but we don't step back and look down on our career and say, am I looking at this strategically? Am I understanding the bigger picture? And if I understand the bigger picture, is it possible I can make some changes that I would never recognize to make or do when I'm so busy being busy in my job? I'm so busy getting by. I'm so busy just getting through the day. I get it, folks. It's hard. But getting out of that rut of hating to go to work every day, feeling like a failure, not getting where you want, getting out of that starts by getting up above yourself. Taking yourself up in that hot air balloon and looking down that 30,000 foot view and working on your career and looking at it holistically, looking at it collectively. So that was the first step in the process. Jen said, I spent a lot of time doing what I thought I should and not necessarily what I wanted to do. Oh my gosh, Jen, if you got one breakthrough aha moment in this 28-day challenge, there it is. How many of us have been on autopilot? Or how many of us let society write the career story for us? Admit it, folks. And again, this was me for the first 33 years of my life. My career story, the first time I did it, my career narrative, the first time I did it, I had the same reaction you did, Jen. I went, oh my gosh, my whole story is about other people's agenda. I type A, firstborn, go after it, get it done, achieve. And I got more and more miserable. And I write about it in my book. I talk about it. You know, I was in a brand new house that I was never in, a husband that I never saw, adorable puppies. It was before I had children that I never saw, friends and family totally out of touch with them. And yet I was living the dream, right? Making the six figures, doing the thing that was the story that was supposed to give me all this joy and happiness, not working. And when I looked at my career narrative for the very first time, Jen, my friend, that is one of the very first aha moments that I had. What the heck have I been doing? I'm living someone else's major motion picture. I'm not living mine. Now what do I do? Now what? Right? Absolutely. Love it, love it, love it. And, you know, for some of you, it's got to feel, you know, a little scary. I get that. I know I was scared when I looked at it too. I have some people here probably saying I'm a little down on myself, right? I'm not feeling good. I get it. Here's the thing though. Someone asked me today, you know, JT, it looks so easy for everyone else. Someone asked me inside our private chat today, you know, all these people talk about gratitude and happiness and they just look so satisfied and they make it look so easy. But I'm way over here on the other side. And I don't have the resources they have, and I don't have the mindset they have. I just don't see how I'm going to get myself there. And I'm not one of those pie in the sky people that's just going to sit here and hype and cheer you up and say, you can do this. I'm not going to do that. I have a degree in engineering. I'm a math and science girl. I'm a logic person. I'm with you. And I also tell you, anyone that's feeling that way, I felt the exact same way. When I hit my rock bottom, I said, there's just no way. But all I can tell you now that I'm on the other side, and now that I sit and get what all those people are saying, the best description I can give it to you is you're sitting on a beach and you see this beautiful, calm, beautiful, peaceful water out there, bright blue water, and you want to go and just, you know, relax in the waves and feel the, you know, just float. So you start to wade out there. But you know what you got to get through in order to get out to that peaceful water? You got to get through those crashing waves. And some of them are pretty big. Some of them knock you down. And you've got to kind of push your way through. The journey to get to career reinvention and greater career satisfaction is going to require you and you and you and you and you and you to break through that. And you want to know what those waves are? Those waves, which we're going to talk about in just a minute, are all of the habits and all of the mindsets and all of the assumptions and all of the things that you've collected over many, many years that have become like a wall, like a barrier for you to get on the other side and feel that. I'm going to prove it to you. I'm absolutely going to prove it to you. Okay. So you need to trust me when I say, I get it. I'm not going to tell you this is just a flip of the switch thing. It's why it's a 28-day challenge, not a 1-day challenge. But I am going to tell you you can do it if you follow along and you stick with it. Okay. Another question that I got actually on Twitter of all places was, JT, I have no intrinsic motivation for anything. I talk a lot about it in my work with people as a career therapist, I talk about this idea of intrinsic motivation and how important it is. If you meet anyone who is truly satisfied in their career, in their life, they are internally motivated, meaning they don't need external rewards or incentives to do something. They do it because of the way it makes them feel. And they live their lives by that. Everything they do in their life, they're internally motivated to do it. And you think, how is that possible, JT? Don't they have jobs? Don't they have responsibilities? Don't they have things that they have to do? Yes, but their mindset is really truly towards, I chose these things. I choose them. I'm in control. They're fully in control. And that is the power of intrinsic motivation. When you're internally motivated, you are completely in control of your life and you feel that control. And it's so incredibly empowering. Now, very few people achieve this. That is why we sit and we look at people like Oprah and Richard Branson and Warren Buffett and Tony Robbins and, Brene Brown. And, I can start to talk about all these really famous people. And we say, how did they get there? And the truth is they did an incredible amount of self-work, worked on themselves, didn't just let the days pass. They really worked on themselves, on their brains to get themselves trained to that level of intrinsic motivation. So this 28-day challenge is designed to be the onboard to that for you. If I can get you over these next 28 days into some new habits and some new way of thinking and get it really in there, not forgotten, but get it in there. Plant it like a seed, nurture it, water it, whatever you want to call it. If I can get you there, it will grow and you will be able to push yourself forward and you pick up steam. All I can tell you is it's like a snowball. It's so little and so hard to get started in the beginning. And that's what I'm trying to do with this 28-day challenge, get you started, the hard part. But once I get you started, snowball effect. It's really, truly incredible. Okay. All right. So a couple other things that I think that we need to think about here is now that you've got this career narrative, this career story, a lot of you were saying, well, what do I do with it, JT? What are you going to have me do with it? What are you going to analyze? And the truth is, I'm not going to be your career therapist. My goal is to teach you how to be your own career therapist. I need to teach you to fish. And so this next exercise, which dropped today, is all about you unpacking your own career narrative, really dissecting what it means. And I'm going to give you an exercise, which all of you that are members of Work It Daily, you're going to go log into the courses, go download this exercise that's going to have you analyze and assess, just like I would, your entire career narrative. And you're going to look at it from two perspectives. You're going to go through every sentence in it. I know some of you, 8 pages, that's a lot of sentences, but you're still going to do it this week. And you're going to look at each sentence and say, is this a positive statement or is this a negative statement? Positive, negative. Now, the first thing I'm going to tell you is some people are going to say, well, there's some neutral statements in here. And I am going to say to you, no, there are not. No, there are not. You either have positive statements, they're truly positive, or you have statements, or you have really negative statements. The statements, those are negative. There's absolutely only positive or negative. And you are going to count them up, my friends, and take a very close look at them. Now, I'm not going to tell you what you're going to do with it after that because only members of the program get the full instructions. So you're going to go read those instructions. But I will hint that the first step in the process is going to inventory how much positive and how much negative is in your career narrative. And then you're going to follow the instructions and do what I tell you to do with it. But I want you to think about this because a lot of people make the mistake of assuming that the career narrative that you wrote out, that you spent the last week working on, is fact. And I'm here to tell you it's fiction. That's a story. That is you interpreting the reality of your life, looking at the reality and saying, this is how I interpret everything that happened to me in my career. Again, completely subjective. It's not a story. If I was to put 10 other people, if I was able to put 10 other people in your life and look at your series of events, none of them would write the story that you wrote. Not a single one. And you say, how is that possible, JT? They would see what I saw. They would experience what I experienced. How is that possible? Because we are individuals with the capacity to look at any situation and decide if that situation was good or bad or nothing at all. That is the power of having a brain, of being a human being. And that is the creativity that we all hold. So I want you to think about that for a moment, because that book, that epic novel, that major motion picture is so unique in the sense that you wrote it in the way that you saw it. And no two people would write that narrative the same way. And on top of that, let me have you think of this. What would happen if you changed the narrative? What would happen if you looked at it differently? Is it possible there would be different endings? I mean, think about this. Aren't they doing that right now in virtual reality and in games where you pick your own adventure? Believe it or not, you've got to pick your own adventure going on right now up in your head, in your career, truly. Pick your own adventure. You've never looked at it that way. You've never thought of it that way, but it really is. And I'm going to prove it to you. Okay. All right. So let's talk about this. Does anybody want to ask me what the heck's going on here? Why does JT have a balloon and a bunch of rocks? Anybody have any idea? I'm going to prove to you what happened. We're going to do a little science experiment here. Okay. So you were born, you came into the world all bright-eyed and just ready to absorb, to experience, learn, and grow. How many of you have heard that before? What do we teach you inside Work It Daily? This is something I have been teaching for decades. Experience plus learn equals grow. The problem is, my friends, somewhere along the line, you got really good at the experience part and the learn part, but not the grow part. You stopped growing. And every time you stopped growing, you added one of these to your life. You added a rock. So let's look at your career as an example. All right, I'm going to take my fun little balloon here off. So here you are. You finished school. You're so excited. Future ahead of you. The possibilities are endless. You're ready to take on the world. Your energy is incredible. And you are flying high. You are just flying high, my friends. Just like a balloon full of career dreams, right? Flying high. Okay. So all of a sudden in your career, something happens and it hurts. It's not such a good thing. You have some kind of setback, something, someone criticizes you, something doesn't go your way, you get fired, you don't get the job you want, something happens. Rock. And the reason for the rock is that you had an experience, and what you decided to learn from that experience was that it was a bad experience, but you didn't grow from it. And my definition of grow, this is how I know when somebody's truly learned from an experience, is when they're set free. When it doesn't feel heavy, it doesn't hurt anymore, and it's not hard. When they can see the good in the experience, now they've grown. Growing is good. And you can take any experience in life and go from this to this. But you know what happened? You didn't do that because it hurt and you were hurt. So you know what you did? You left your rock. And something else happened. And something else happened. And then something else happened in your career. And it just kept going and going. Now, meanwhile, let me just explain. You kept saying, oh, but I'm learning, right? I'm learning what I don't want in a job. I'm learning what kind of manager I don't want. I'm learning that I'm not good at this. I'm learning that I'm really bad at that. I'm learning that, I wasn't meant to do this. I'm learning that I can't ever have that. And now where's your career dreams? Right over here. Can't move. And if I kept going, it would pop. This is what I mean when I say that all of you out there can't imagine a future, can't even think about career reinvention until you get rid of the rocks. You've experienced, you thought you learned something, but you really didn't, because you didn't set yourself free. You didn't grow from the experience. And what's amazing to me, I didn't always understand this, okay? I really didn't. But what's amazing to me is that once you start to really understand this and see that every experience is a chance to grow and actually feel good about it, and the better you get at that, looking at those experiences and saying, okay, what do I have to learn here? And how can I get to the point of feeling better? You will process it so much faster. You won't have any more rocks. You'll be back to being here. And this is what all the best of the best have. The Oprahs, the Sir Richard Bransons, anyone you want to think about in the world, when you say, why do they make it sound so easy? Why do they have so much gratitude? It's not an accident. They weren't born with it. They took their rocks and they figured them out and they got rid of them. And then they got so good at experience, learn, and grow that they stopped the rocks from even happening. Does everyone see and understand that? You can't think of a career future. You can't get excited. You can't get out of bed in the morning. You can't see any possibilities anymore because years and years and years of rocks, unprocessed career experiences have weighted you down. And if you want to set yourself free, just like that, then it's going to start by processing those rocks. That's what's going to happen here. If you don't want to process the rocks, if you want to hold on to them, I mean, it's totally your choice, my friends. Nobody is making you do this. You want to hold on to these things that happened in your life and they're still painful and you still can't let them go. I get it. Okay. But can we talk about how much weight that is? That's all weight that you now have to sit and carry around with you and lug from job to job to job. Your career's going nowhere fast. I mean, who wants to run with pockets full of rocks? You got to lighten the load, my friends. Career reinvention is about setting yourself free. And that begins with identifying the rocks in your career narrative and getting rid of them once and for all. Okay? Now, that was really fun to do, but I'm not suggesting that it's that easy. And of course, this week, as part of this course, what did I do? I hand-selected, I researched and hand-picked a bunch of amazing videos that I'm going to drop every single day this week that focus on this, on the techniques that you're going to use to free yourself of this negativity, of these rocks in your career story. It can be done, folks. The science is there, but you got to work on it. In the same way that we have to exercise to get muscles, you have got to work up here to get your brain to think differently, to look at situations differently, to react differently, so that you don't keep getting these. I don't want you to have any more of these. These stink. You don't need these in your career. You set yourself free of these and you learn how to avoid them. You learn how to really process experiences. Wow. Total game changer. And I challenge you, ask the most successful people you know. Ask the people that seem to have the most happiness and satisfaction in their career. And you'll see, you'll go, well, you've never had anything bad happen to you. Of course they have. Of course they have. In fact, that's really naive and really wrong of you to suggest that. Any of you out there that are saying, well, he caught that break or she's never had anything difficult happen to herself, shame on you. Of course they have. What you don't want to realize and what you don't want to accept is that all they've done is figured out how to process these. And you're not born with it. It's not some special gift that you get. Anyone can do it. Anyone that's truly committed to getting rid of the baggage, getting rid of the rocks can do it. But if you want to hold on to them, you want to stay miserable, you want to keep thinking that your career story is a long-winded list of failures, okay. But understand, as of today, you know the truth now. You know that story is a work of fiction. That story is your subconscious making up what it thinks happened, which means that same brain can change that entire story if it wants to. I want you to think about this. I mean, come on. One more thing I'll say on the subject, and then we'll turn it over to questions. But think about the time something bad happened in your life, and then it turned out to be the best thing that ever happened. I mean, I know for me, I think you all know in my HR career before I became a career coach, my job was literally the same as the one George Clooney had in the movie Up in the Air. I would fly in and restructure parts of companies and lay people off. Literally had to go in and tell people, well, okay, you're losing your job today, but you know what? This is the beginning of a whole new chapter for you. And the best part of that whole job was when people would reach out and find me and say, you know what, JT, you were right that day. I didn't feel it at the time, but I ended up at a great new company that was such a better fit. I had no idea how miserable I was in that job. You did me a favor. Those were my favorite. That was one of the reasons I ended up in career coaching, just so you know. It was that experience. So I know for a fact that bad experiences can be good ones and good ones can be bad ones. So if that's the case, if you want a killer career, then you need to do what the really successful and satisfied people do. Learn to process the rocks, experience, learn, and grow. Okay? You got really good at the experience part, and you really held on to some things there, but you didn't grow. You got to change that. You got to fix that. Okay, I'm going to stop there for a second and see what questions did I have here. Okay, so thank you, Jen. Jen likes the rock illustration. Rodney says I have lots of rocks. Yeah, we all do. Folks, this is like an example pile. When I first did this to myself at 33 years old, holy moly, the rock pile was this high. This high. I had no idea how much of this I was lugging around with me. Anxiety, frustration, regret, anger, guilt, just every rock was just another thing that I was blaming myself or blaming somebody else for. And then I realized the only person that was suffering was me. There's another way to look at this. If you ever heard, I can't remember who said it, but it's like drinking poison and wanting and expecting the other person to suffer, right? The whole drink poison, expect them to suffer. Same thing. I'm carrying around these rocks because I think it's the right thing to do because I'm being so righteous, carrying my rocks because, those are the badges of honor as I work through my career. You don't have to do that. Drop the rocks. New chapter. Let's go. As long as you keep these on, we're never going to open any doors. We're never going to get over the hills and find new valleys and beautiful places and spaces for you to go. It's not going to happen. Let go of the rocks. Okay? All right. Christopher Dixon says mine are boulders. Okay, it's fine. If you've got boulders, Christopher, drop the boulders. Smash the boulders. This exercise that I have you doing this week, it's all about that, folks. It's all about that. And if you can work on it every day, you can. You can smash the boulders. You can drop the rocks. Awesome. Yes, I want to say this one comment by John says, don't let your difficult past define who you are today. If you do, you will live your whole life as a victim of the past. There's a life force within you waiting to shoot out of the ground of the past. Yes, exactly. It's a beautiful way to look at it. There's a whole new day ahead of you tomorrow and the next day and the next day. You really want to carry this with you? I'm sorry, folks, but I'm done. I'm done carrying rocks. I'm moving on. New day, new vision, new opportunity. That's how you have to get yourself. And that energy flows with you. Where they say where attention goes, energy flows. How many of you, your attention's been on what? On how heavy these freaking rocks are, right? You've been spending all your time going, my life is so hard. My job sucks. My career's so bad. That's where all your energy's been going right now. Imagine pivoting towards enough with the rocks. I'm excited. There is so much out there. There's new people for me to meet. There's new jobs opening up every day. Who knows what my future holds? I know I want to do work that means something. I'm going to get out there and talk to people. I'm going to get out there and talk about what I love to do. I'm going to put the right energy out there. That energy is what's going to attract your next opportunity. You're not getting any good energy out of this negative rock pile. You've got to let it go. You've got to focus on that positivity. No joke, folks. Scientific fact, just proved it to you. Do you want to set your career dreams free again? Do you want to look forward? Do you want to dream? Let's face it, you don't even dream anymore. You know you don't. You don't even dream anymore. These rocks have you so bogged down. The moment you think, oh, that job sounds interesting, what starts to happen? No, you tried that before. Oh, they'd never hire you. Oh, they're going to say you're overqualified. Oh, they're going to say you're underqualified. Oh, it's probably not a good benefits package. Oh, you wouldn't like the commute. Oh, you wouldn't. See what I'm talking about? Come on, admit it. That's exactly what happens. You can't even get excited about things anymore because you've got so many rocks and the rocks pelt themselves at every opportunity, knocking it down. You got to get rid of them or you're never going to see that future. Never, ever. Okay. Let's see. Marjorie says, one can't tell a picture or experience. I was in denial, I guess, thinking it wouldn't happen to me. I had tons of hiring managers and HR contacts. Contacts are as good as they remember you when they leave. Yes, Marjorie, they are as good as they remember you when you leave. But guess what? You can rekindle that. So carrying that forward and saying, okay, it's all gone now. Wow, I thought I had these relationships and I don't. You're not processing. Let it go. Tomorrow's a new day. I can, just in the same way I made relationships before, I can make new relationships today. I can make them tomorrow. I can rekindle those relationships. Just got to do it, right? And stop letting those rocks block you and build this wall from what is your future. All of you, they talk about procrastination. You know what procrastination is? All your rocks forming a big old wall that won't let you go through. It's all that negative self-talk coming at you, pelted at you. You've got to break through. You got to get rid of the rocks, right? How do you process them when your negative seems negative? Well, again, you're going to do the exercise. I can't give it all away today. You're going to do the exercise that's in the course, and then you're going to follow the videos this week, and you're going to start to see how to process those negative things and remove them. You really can do that. But you've got to learn the techniques to do that. Super important, okay? But you will, and now you've seen it's possible. You can do it. You've got to think about that. Think about that visual. It was important today that I bring you all a visual, because as that negativity pops up now, as you process something and go, oh, that was bad. Oh, I feel so bad about it. I want this video to pop in your head. Oh, remember what JT said? I'm adding another rock. I don't want to do that. Let it go. Let it go. There's a book that I've mentioned. I mentioned it last week. I'll mention it again this week. When you're ready to really learn about that letting go and seeing it differently, there's a book by Michael Singer. It's called The Untethered Soul, which really explains how to do that in great, deep detail. And I would never try to take that away from Michael Singer, because he did such an exceptional job with this book explaining how to do that. But, the 2-second version of it is the fact that when you can step back for a second and actually view yourself not as the main character in the story, but instead you are sitting in the movie theater, eating your popcorn, and you're watching this career narrative on the silver screen. Okay. So you're no longer the lead living it. You're sitting here watching it. What you'll find is that you'll look at that and go, oh, I wouldn't want that lead to do that. I wouldn't want that lead to think that way or act that way or take that step. And all of a sudden you're going to see, when I look at the person I'm being, when I look at the way I'm reacting, when I'm here looking at myself and how I'm reacting to the situation, I don't like that. I don't want to look like that. I don't want to be that person. I don't want to be that negative, angry person. I don't want to be that victim. I don't want to be it. So you've really got to step out inside of that. And again, Michael Singer's book, The Untethered Soul, dives deep into that, into helping you with that. That takes more than a 1-minute recap, but that's essentially it. When you can start to look at yourself and your story, which is why I made you write it out, why you're going to analyze it this week and become your own career therapist. I want you to see parts of it and say, I don't want to be that person. I don't want to look at and interpret it that way. I don't like that. I don't like that when I see other people do it. I'm not attracted to people like that. I don't want to hang out with people like that. That's when you start to make real change. That's when you realize, without even knowing it, you've been a person you don't want to be, and that you truly have complete control over changing that instantly by letting it go, getting rid of the rocks. I don't want to be that person anymore. I'm going to let it go. Does that help? I hope that helps. Right. Excellent. Very good. All right. So I'm going to stop here. I hope this helped. What did it help? What do you think? Tell me is this making sense to everyone? This was such a big deal for me. When I had this breakthrough, when I understood that my career story was all in my head and I was choosing to tell it a certain way. And when I stepped back and I looked at how I was telling that story and I went, oh my gosh, I'm nothing but a victim. I don't want to be the victim. I want to be the superhero. It was such a breakthrough moment for me. And when I started to really dissect where in the story I was being that victim, where in that story I was being unnecessarily negative, where in that story I was interpreting the situation when in reality I could totally choose to interpret it a different way, that's when the breakthrough started to happen. And what's interesting, as you can imagine, folks, is that your career narrative always changes. It always evolves. And so you should keep this first draft that you built, Because as you'll see, as you move through your life, this story will change and change and change. There's a reason people don't write their autobiographies till they're really, really old, right? Because the way they looked at a situation in their 20s is different than their 30s, their 40s, their 50s. Admit it. Think about it. The way you looked at situations when you were 10 are different than when you're 20, 30. So this career story is just your interpretation of reality right now, which means you can change it. But not until you start to realize where in the story you have not truly grown. And again, you don't grow till you set yourself free. Okay. I really hope this made sense to everybody. This is a kind of a deep concept. I tried to break it down and make it a little fun, but it's one that I need you to hold on to right now. I need you to hold on to it. You might even want to go out literally and get yourself a stone and keep it somewhere. And every time you're feeling a negative thought about your job or your career, I can't do this, there's no hope for me, grab that stone and say, you know what? This is what I'm doing right now. I'm not growing. I'm hanging on to a rock. JT told me to let it go, to process it and let it go, to think about what I can do, right? And not hang on to these things that they're gone. They're in the past. Okay? You've got to open yourself up again. We've got to get you excited again. And as you start to think about opportunities and all of a sudden you're shooting everything down, you pull that rock out again and go, oh, she's right. I'm doing it again. I'm building that wall up with all my rocks. I better get rid of those rocks. I've got to find a way to get rid of them. It's the only thing that's going to set me free. It's going to let me out there to live my life and to find those amazing experiences that I know I really want and I deserve. You all deserve this, folks. Nobody is more deserving than another. Nobody should have more. It's not have or have not. There's abundance for everyone when it comes to career success and satisfaction. Absolutely, everyone. But it's all in your hands whether you choose to go out and have it, right? It's all within your power, but only if you let them go. So, all right, team. I'm so glad to be with you here. I'm so excited to be working with you inside the 28-day challenge. If you guys haven't noticed, so we have an executive group and we have a professional group and we have private Slack communities for both of them. And I am running the 28-day challenge channel in both of them. So that's me answering your questions inside the 28-day challenge channels, in case you're wondering. And I've loved it. All of you that have been participating and being honest and sharing your thoughts, love you for it, because that's what we need to do. That's why this challenge is so amazing. Nobody should do this challenge in a vacuum. We need to be with like-minded people talking about it and working it through. So I want to see a lot of chatter this week. We're going to talk about this all week long with every video I drop this week. We're going to talk about you and your brain and how we get rid of these rocks and how you're truly going to grow once and for all. All right. So that we can move forward. Okay. All right, team. I'm signing off. Thank you so much for coming in today. I'm really glad that you visited and I will talk to you soon. All right. Okay. Cheers, everyone. Bye-bye.